planet right now. The planet never had so many catastrophes, than ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's suddenly something in Japan, a day after something in China, a day after something in Africa, then we have something in Europe. Every day you hear this news. The planet now, Mother Earth, has enough and is saying to us, look, you cannot destroy me, I will destroy you.
Yeah. So,
and also our financial system is completely up and down. So maybe you wake up tomorrow and you go to the bank and the bank is simply closed.
Yeah.
And all your savings are gone because they're inside the bank. And those are the things which I like to stand for. I like to tell people, wake up. If you don't be so greedy and you look after your neighbor a little bit, then this planet has a chance. This is what I like to be Herman the German remembered of. Also, of course, I'm all heart and soul for the music, and I think I have a really great new band. You saw it on YouTube and on my website.
Yeah, I did, yes.
And I like to go with this band now and play and do some concerts next year. In the summer, I have already 2 big festivals in Germany. On the 30th of April, I play the biggest biker festival in northern Germany. On the 30th of April, as I said, the Malchin is this town. It's next to Berlin. And there's another show on the 18th of August. There's also a big festival in Wiesbaden, which is close to Frankfurt.
Yeah, and now you're ready to go back to the US, right?
Yeah, I'm now going to America to promote my book. I have already very good reaction on the book, and I think a lot of fans will come to see me, and I can talk to them, and I sign the book, because this book is written for the fans. It comes from my heart. It really says all my philosophies and everything I believe in life is in that book, and you know it. You read it.
Yeah.
No. Okay, 6. You talked several times about the regret of being too absent for your daughter. Yeah. If it was to be redone, how would you act differently in the way you grew her up? Do you think the life of a father and rock star can be compatible? Well, there are 3-4 questions there. I would definitely do a lot of things different. I would try to spend more time with her than I did. But being on the road is very hard to then also have a family life,
Yeah.
That's why so many musicians get divorced, because they're simply too long away from their families,
Yeah. Okay.
And I definitely would grow her up ridiculously, but if I look at her now, and she is now in Glasgow, she studies to become a speech therapist. She's very happy. She has now a boyfriend. She plans to get married. And then I say to myself, well, now she gets married, she will live in America, and she will not see you and her mother. She will be there with her husband. Soon she will have children. I will become grandfather and maybe see her 2-3 times a year when I fly over there to say hello.
Yeah.
Bring Christmas presents to my grandsons.
So yeah, in fact, she succeeded anyway. So
she succeeded very well. She's a very beautiful girl. She's 22 now, and I think kids understand. She told me at least. She said, "Daddy, I understand. I know you love me and you looked after me. Otherwise, I would not be able to go to university in Glasgow. And don't worry, I'm okay. I'm in love now. I found my man, and I grew up, as you can see. And I understand that you had to go on the road and earn money, to keep us all alive, and give us a good life." So she was really cool, That made me happy and gave me a big relief.
Yeah.
Because obviously I was always thinking about this. Oh, I didn't do the right thing. I was a bad father. I should have looked better after her. How old are you, Gilliam?
I'm 26 right now.
Well, then you're going to get married soon. Then you will understand what I mean. But let me tell you this. If you have a daughter, look after her better than I did, okay?
Okay. That's also an advice you kind of give frequently in your book too, yeah.
Yeah, well, I love her, she's my kid, that's the only one I have.
Yeah, that's right.
Question 7, you say, do you know what the other members of the master band and Irish Wind Life have become? I know not what happens to the master band, but I know with Irish Wind Life what has become of them. The guitar player of that band is now the director of British Rail in Germany. He's in Hamburg. And since we both lived in England from 71 to 76, 77, he came out there to play with me, but he stayed in England and he went to the railway station. He started to work for them, and since he spoke English, German, Suddenly they needed somebody in Germany. He was chosen to be that one, and he lives since that day in Germany, and he is their managing director for British Rail in Germany.
All right.
The bass player is now working in my hometown, Saarbrücken, where I made my concert on the 18th of June, as an advisor for people with drug problems.
Okay.
Which is great because he took a lot of drugs, so he knows what he's talking about.
And so
the other guy is on Social Security, our singer and second guitar player.
So none of them did a career like you did in...
No, none of them did a career like me. They're all different things now. As I said, you know, one is working for the town of Saarbrücken as a drug advisor. When people have problems with drugs, they come to see him. And the other one works for British Rail, and Petro is working, not working at all. He lives from Social Security.
All right. Okay.
I mentioned Ringo Starr and Charlie Watts as my major influences. What would you say to a young drummer telling you are his major influence? Well, you forget, of course, the great John Bonham.
Oh, yes.
That was my major influence. Ringo Starr and Charlie Watts I like because they played very simple. But they fitted very good to the band. Can you imagine the Rolling Stones without Charlie Watts? I can't.
Yeah, that's something.
And the same with Ringo. I cannot imagine Ringo Starr without the Beatles.
Yeah.
They are part of that sound, and I was, of course, part of the Scorpion sound, you know. And since I left, of course, the band sounds different. That's just normal. But I think, you know, every drummer has his personality, and I would say if you feel, to a young drummer, if you feel good in a band, then stay with that band, because there is nothing better than the chemistry and playing with 5 friends, because then you are like family, and if you fit to the band, then you fit to the band. It has nothing to do with technique.
Yeah, it's like you say...
The drummer has to play a great groove that fits to the band.
That's what you say in your book, just go out and play and do not spend hours watching YouTube videos to learn how to play, right?
Yeah, exactly. And look at it like this. If I would have a phone call tomorrow from the Rolling Stones, you know what? I could not replace Charlie Watts. Even I know I can play technically better, but I cannot play his style. And that style is, in my opinion, very important for a band like the Rolling Stones and also for the Beatles. And so every drummer, every band has his drummer. Look at Led Zeppelin. When John Bonham died, they stopped. They were wise.
Yeah.
Because that guy cannot be replaced. For me, John Bonham was the best drummer in the world, and still is.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think you should mention that. When you said you mentioned Ringo Starr, I also mentioned Bonham.
Bonham is as major, yeah, major.
He was my major influence. John Bonham was for me the king, and until this day I listen to Zeppelin records and I try to figure out how he played it. For example, Good Times, Bad Times, when you listen to the foot pedal version on that song, it's a killer.
Yeah, and so you felt like, the reunion they did with Jason, it was Jason Bonham, his son, recently.
Yeah.
It was it's kind of nostalgic thing, but you think it could not become a real band like it was, yeah.
Oh, I don't think this will last. I think Robert Plant has refused to play again, to go out and do Zeppelin again, because he says, we did a great thing and I like to keep the history like this. Yeah. And he's right, Even they had an offer of $1 million, $1 billion. But he didn't take the money, and I take my hat off that, because that shows you that money is not everything. You have to take your line and say, okay, this is it, and this is why I'm a bit angry about them going now and re-record those classic rock songs again. What they tell the fans, look, what we gave you all those years was shit. Now we give you the real thing,
Yeah, it's like, we don't know.
It's
really.
like, for me, it's like a slap in the face to the fans.
Yeah.
I'm really sad about that, But coming back to Bonham, he was my influence, You tell your beginnings with the band, which were quite chaotic. Did you really think about leaving the Scorpions just after you joined them? Absolutely. Because at the beginning was so chaotic, I said to myself, how can I get back to England as fast as possible? And then we did this first album together, Taken by Force, and then suddenly a big reaction in Japan. And then suddenly after this, the live album came out.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, after that live album, the reaction was overwhelming. And then suddenly management from America phoned us up and said, can you boys come over and play in the United States? David Krebs got interested in the band. And then, in my opinion, this was the time when I said, ooh, this band has now a chance. Also, don't forget, in those days, I was a major influence in the band. I wrote a lot, and my philosophies, and I said we should do it like this and this and this. And in those days, the band listened to me. And also, when we had the management with David Krebs, he was on the same line than me. So basically, when the future for the Scorpions was talked about, I could feel that the band has a good chance now to become internationally successful.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So I only thought about leaving after the first album, and everything was really chaotic. So at the same time, then Uli Ross wanted to leave. Then I said to myself, what a chaotic band. They're going to go nowhere because they have no plan where to go, you know.
Yeah.
And then we became to know each other, especially Rudolf and me became very close friends. And we had the same vision. We had the same idea to go to the future and what to do. And then we talked obviously to Klaus and to Francis and to Matthias. And sooner or later the whole band got influenced by Rudolf and me, and we put the fire over, and we put that enthusiasm into the whole band. We're gonna conquer the world. And at the beginning, as I said to you, they looked at me like I'm coming from the moon. But since we then became more and more self-confident because of the success from Japan and also of the live album, we suddenly believed also inside of ourselves we could become a big band.
And so maybe also you helped when you arrived in the band the engine to start, in fact, and to move forward.
Absolutely, you know, I was, in this opinion, my opinion, a big influence with my positive outlook on life. And as you can see on songs like Make It Real, when you read the lyrics there, then you know exactly what my outlook was on life.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Okay, 10. Do you think it is important to back up sometimes in order to have a proper look on your career? As you say, the other Scorpions take this all much more seriously than you. Does money prevent artists from doing the most appropriate artistic choices? Absolutely. The best example is what they do right now, making an album, you know, which is not best for the fans, which is only best for their pocket, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of, it doesn't have really sense because, I mean, they do not need such, I mean, they have enough money also to live easily.
Well, I learned one thing in Monaco. The more rich you become, the more greedy you become.
Okay. So
and I think this happened here too. And I think, you know, that they probably think now we must take as much money with us as we can because this is the last tour.
Okay.
But I don't know if the last tour. Maybe there will be tours after this, you know. I mean, it is already now next year, 2012, and the farewell tour is still on.
Yeah.
So maybe in 2014 we talk again and the farewell tour is still on because of good offers.
Yeah. Okay.
So obviously money changes the world, as you know, and it changes also a band.
Okay. And yeah, it can also using destroy bands from doing the best, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that happened here, and it is obvious to every fan, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have to count one and one together to see what's happening. I mean, it was you who told me.
Who told you about this?
The thing, and you said to me, I can't believe they re-record the old song.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's kind of really, there's no logic in it because, as you said, yeah, what about the original versions? They will forever remain the best. So it kind of doesn't make any sense. So yeah.
What can I say to you? It makes no sense, you know. And also, I think it is not that much money to make such a move. You know, if I would have been still in the band, I can promise you right now, the last album would have been a killer album.
Yeah, I imagine that. Yeah.
It would be a killer album. Anyway, question number 11. There's always a lot of gossip about rock stars and famous bands. To take some pages in your book to clarify some, such as the Rondinelli event, do you feel somehow affected by those rumors at the time and now? I felt very affected by this at the time because it was me who played the whole album, and then I hear, you know, that a guy who came in the studio